I just want to upload and say some things and just kind of vent and talk about some things. But I want to say something first. When I took that screenshot and put it on my community board of the words that the Ghost app said yesterday and philosophical was on it, I didn't really pay attention. I was kind of doing something else, so I just saw it when I walked past it and I was like, "Oh, they're trying to say, that's how I wanted to see it, right?" Because that's what life is about, perspective. What perspective are you looking at everything like now? When you get to a point where you just have inner peace, you look at life differently. You're not feeling like a victim. You realize everything you put out is what you're getting back, everything. So it humbles you a lot. So what I saw that as though was, oh, they were just trying to be funny and say philosophical, but that word would never show up. So I didn't realize until I went back today and I was scrolling the other words that were with it. Cable, bottle, tub, drink. And then I asked my pendulum if what I thought that was saying is what it said. And it said yes. And what I got from it intuitively, and this is why I don't upload like crazy. I really want my gift sharp. And that won't happen if you're truly tapped in. You'll be too drained and you won't be able to see things the way you're supposed to. Your intuition will be disrupted when you're uploading 20, 30, 40, 50 videos a day. It's just impossible. It's impossible to stay sharp like that. If you're at, well, I guess it depends. If you're exposing, I guess it depends. For me personally, I can't do that. Not because someone's not allowing me. It's just because I won't do that to my body. I won't drain myself like that. I learned about energy and I know that when you're drained like that, it makes your energy field weaker, which allows more negative energy to come in, right? So, anyway, I look back on it and I'm like, that kind of seems like a staged suicide, is what it looked like. It looked like somebody was trying to set up the way that they do with even celebrities, which is just a term created by the Matrix to try to separate us. But they're just regular people too. When these people start exposing things, all of a sudden they miraculously do this, right? Or they go missing or something happens to them. But because the Matrix knows people are catching on to this, it's very rare that it will just be like an accident because most people will know, no, it wasn't an accident. But now people know that even when they're trying to say that people did this to themselves, that wasn't them. So what I'm saying is, again, especially if you have a platform and you're exposing stuff like what I'm exposing, all right? Because the people that I'm exposing, this goes deep into the deep state and the government, parts of the government, and other beings that aren't human. I know I'm not just exposing gang stalking. I wouldn't create a channel for that because I realize now this is happening my whole life. I just wasn't aware of it before. So, it was never a big deal to me and it still isn't a big deal. It's the other stuff that I'm exposing with the kids and the buying and selling of things and people. You feel me? If you're doing something like that, they are most likely on to you. They're watching you and they're trying to set up this for you as well. They don't want you here. I would never do this to myself. I have to say this again. This is why they'll send hackers around you to try to get rid of your channel, hack into it, steal your channel. I've even seen videos the other day of people saying, like, my entire YouTube channel was stolen. You'll never do that to me. So, I didn't realize it until hindsight. I went back in there. But what I wanted to talk about again, too, because hindsight is going to be your best friend, too. Your pendulum and hindsight and isolation, not focusing so much in the beginning of your journey on let me make revenue on my channel, because you'll wind up draining yourself if the universe thinks you're not ready to make money. If you haven't sat to yourself and gone through a really dark and difficult time of almost feeling like you'd rather do that, then you most likely haven't gone through the dark night of the soul yet. and you're trying to skip the struggle and you haven't changed at all. It's like the energy I picked up on where someone's living situation changed drastically, and it's because of what they're doing exactly still. Shopping, 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 buying things that they don't need repetitively. You're going to keep staying in that situation, and then eventually the ancestors will even make it worse so that you can't even do that anymore. I know. I never had a shopping addiction. I had a drug addiction. I had to go through the same thing but with drugs. So it's more difficult for me to not only be in a situation like I'm in and not be high, but to be around people who do it all day long and stay to myself and stay sober. So it was a difficult thing. So if you're not going through a difficult time and you just think it's like, oh, let me just make videos and I don't have to take accountability and I don't have to learn lessons, you're wrong. Anyway, I realized in hindsight when I talked about how I believe I was trapped with a baby. It happens to women too. That my son's father wanted a son. I talked about this in another video. Maybe I'll post it on my community board for new subscribers that may resonate with this, whether you're a man or a woman. He didn't really want much to do with it if it was going to be a girl. And it was pretty clear. Like, he was pretty clear about it too. It was basically, it goes with the opportunist energy that I didn't realize he had until I had my awakening as well. And this is not to knock him. We've all been opportunists at some point in our life, but some people took it to the extreme of even preying on women on dating sites and stuff. So anyway, I talked about this and I'll sum it up that I was kind of forced by my family to not be able to keep this child. So in the beginning, it was look for abortion clinics, and then I was too far along, and I realized now that was the universe going, no, she's not going to be separated from this child, but I know that you want her to be. And then it was, okay, we'll go and put him up for adoption. And at the last minute, my son's father, my father, like, they were like, oh, if you want, we can keep him. I gave birth to him, and I was ready to hand him over. And not like I wanted to, but I didn't think like I was ready. And I was being kind of forced to do this by my parents, and then all of a sudden they mind fuck me and tell me after I give birth, if you want to keep him, you can, knowing that like I'm living with you at the time. I'm 19. So then all of a sudden my son's father goes, well, I'll take him. So it's like coming in to play the hero. That's what they do, right? That's what narcissists do. And this is just the truth. Playing the hero. So now not only in my mind, mentally, I'm prepared to hand this child over. I think we settled for like visits once in a while, like an open adoption. Anyway, it never happened because now not only did I have to rewire my brain to have this child in my life because his father lived about 20 minutes, a half hour away from me, and he was going to have him. Now I also had to pay child support, and like eventually he dropped the arrears, and it made it look like he was doing me a favor, but how could you even allow me? Like, so now they didn't care about how that was going to affect my life. They didn't care that, like, now as a mother, I have to look like I didn't want my own child, or like I couldn't care for my own child. I wasn't prepared for it because that wasn't the decision that I made based off what I was being pushed to do by my narcissistic family members as well. So now I have to also pay child support and have a constable show up because I couldn't really afford it, or I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. It was like, I'm going to be honest with you, like I was still going out and doing my thing because in my mind I was like angry, and you can't talk about that because you'll have these family members that they just want to project and point, and then when you're the black sheep, it's even worse. Now granted, I had sex that night. I can fully take accountability for why I even got pregnant. Nobody forced me to do that. But everything else after that was manipulation. Nobody cared about what my life was going to be like or how it was going to make me feel or how, and now in the interim of my whole entire, my child's life, they constantly were pointing fingers at my mistakes because secretly they couldn't stand the bond I had with him, that you'll never break that bond. Whoever's listening, you'll never break that bond ever. You couldn't break me. So you ain't going to break the bond either. You guys know that already. And it's not all my family members, they know which ones it was. But yeah, so it's like, and then like eventually it was just, I didn't have to pay anymore, but it's like they made it seem like he was doing me a big favor and everything like that. And it's like, yo, I wasn't even supposed to have to pay or have to, like, now I see my son sporadically, and now he sees me living my life a certain way, and he's got you in his ear and you in his ear, and it's like everything was to like turn my son against me. And I know he knows this now. There's no such thing as a perfect parent. It's very crucial to understand this. It's crucial for you to understand that on the end of being the parent people are pointing their fingers at, and it's crucial for the parents who are pointing the fingers at you who also aren't perfect. And for a lot of them, they were even worse than what you are, but they wanted you to be the punching bag for it, because they have to make it seem like to the outside world that there's no problems and that they really do everything that they can for their kids, and that they don't ever want to play good cop, bad cop with the husband or the wife. I don't want to be the savior amongst my kids, I promise. I really am this perfect mother, or I really am this perfect father. There's no such thing. It puts a lot, the matrix even puts a lot of pressure on you to feel like you have to be perfect in every way, even to the point where it will destroy relationships, and it will destroy friendships and work relationships. And most importantly, though, it will destroy the relationship you have with yourself. So that is my end rant. Take from it whatever you want, or don't if it doesn't resonate with you at all. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna monetize this one. Philly out. Nowhere.